Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime. The words slip out of my mouth like a secret I'm not supposed to keep. Outside the classroom window, rain taps in Morse code against the glass. Dot, dash, dot. While the fluorescent tubes overhead hum a tired lullaby. I'm perched on the edge of Mr. Halvorson's old desk, the one with the wobble that always made us giggle during algebra. The air smells of dry erase markers and the ghost of cafeteria pizza. Somewhere down the corridor, a locker slams by itself. You probably won't make it to morning after this one. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I read every single one while the shadows stretch longer. Now, dim the lights, maybe crack open a window for that midnight breeze, and let's walk the halls together. I shouldn't be here. The building locked its doors at 10, same as every Friday since the district cut the night janitor budget. Yet the side entrance by the band room yawned open when I jimmied the latch with my library card. Still works, even though I graduated 6 years ago. The security camera above the trophy case is blind. It's red. I went dark the night the lightning strike fried the DVR. That's the realistic anchor. Our school's east wing sits on a hill that attracts every storm within 20 miles, and the insurance claim is still pending. I flick on my phone's flashlight. The beam slides across rows of desks carved with initials that feel like ancient ruins. My sneakers squeak on the waxed floor, each step echoing twice. Once from me, once from somewhere deeper. Curiosity pulls me forward. I came for nostalgia, for the dumb thrill of trespassing where I once served detention for skipping calc. The plan was simple. Film a quick tour, whisper some memories, leave before the cops circle. Then the PA system crackles. Not the polite ding-dong of morning announcements, but a throat-clearing hiss that rattles every speaker in the building. A woman's voice, calm and clipped like the substitute who always smelled of menthols, floats through the dark. Detention is now in session. Timothy Alvarez, room 204. Please report immediately. Timothy Alvarez. The name lands like a chalk eraser to the chest. Tim was my lab partner junior year. Freckles, terrible jokes. Gone senior year when his dad's truck hydroplaned on Route 44. The official story, closed casket, scholarship fund, grief counselors in the library for a week. I attended the funeral. His mom pressed a carnation into my hand and said he'd have laughed at the bagpipes. The hallway lights flicker in sequence, east to west, like they're counting down. I laugh, nervous, too loud, and the sound bounces back smaller. Another crackle. Sarah Park, room 108. Do not be late. Sarah vanished between third and fourth period, spring of 2019. Rumors said she climbed out the bathroom window to meet a boyfriend who didn't exist. The police found her backpack by the railroad tracks, zipper open, calculus notes fluttering like white flags. No body, no closure, just an empty chair that nobody sat in again. Fear arrives on schedule, sliding under my ribs. I tell myself it's a prank, some theater kid with a Bluetooth speaker, or the AV club testing new equipment. But the speakers are ancient, wired into the walls since 1978, and the only person who knew the master code retired to Florida. My pulse sinks with the ring. I edge toward the door. The hallway stretches longer than memory, lockers gleaming like teeth. Another name. Michael Okoye Auditorium. Bring your hall pass. Michael drowned in the retention pond behind the football field. Sophomore year. Dare gone wrong. Body found tangled in cattails. The school planted a dogwood in his honor. Kids still carve hearts into the bark. Curiosity flips into something colder. I should leave, but the exit sign above the stairwell flickers out, plunging the corridor into moonlit gray. My phone buzzes, low battery, 9%. The PA voice returns, softer now, almost conversational. Visitors are reminded that curfew applies to the living and the late. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught. The announcement ends with a click, like a tongue against teeth. Silence rushes in, thick as cafeteria gravy. I take one step back into the classroom, and the door swings shut on its own, slow, deliberate, the pneumatic hinge exhaling a sigh that smells of pencil shavings and wet wool. My beam catches the whiteboard. Fresh writing, still dripping. Detention roster. T. Alvarez. S. Park. M. Okoye. Smudged. The fourth name is erased, but the marker scent is sharp, new. I reach out. The ink smears under my fingertip, warm as breath. Behind me, the speaker pops again, and the woman's voice is right at my ear, though the grill is 10 feet up the wall. Welcome back, narrator. Your seat is in the front row. The words hang in the air like chalk dust after a blackboard erase. Fine. Invisible. Choking. I spin toward the speaker grill, mounted high where the wall meets the ceiling, its mesh dotted with decades of spider silk. My phone's light catches it, turning the holes into 100 tiny eyes staring back. No wires dangle loose. The system's as sealed as a confessional booth. I back away, heart thudding like sneakers on gym bleachers, and bump the desk. Papers scatter, old quizzes from a class I don't remember, marked with red ink that looks too fresh. Curiosity claws at me again, that stupid itch that got me here in the first place. I could bolt for the window, shimmy down the drain pipe like we did during fire drills, but the rains turned the ledge into a slick promise of broken bones. Instead, I creep to the door, press my ear against the wood. The hallway beyond breathes. Inhale, exhale, through the keyhole. No footsteps, no whispers, just the drip of water from a leaky roof vent somewhere above. I twist the knob. It gives without protest, and the corridor unfolds before me, longer than it should be. The school's layout is burned into my brain. Built in 1952, a squat brick rectangle with 2 floors and a basement boiler room that always smelled of rust and regret. That's the factual anchor. City records show the architect skimped on the foundation, so the east end sinks a 1/4 inch every decade, cracking tiles like eggshells. Tonight, it feels like the whole building's tilting toward me. The PA crackles again, pulling me forward. Emily Chun, room 112. Your absence has been noted. Emily. God. Emily with her braided hair and that laugh like wind chimes. She slipped in the stairwell after swim practice, hit her head on the railing. Concussion turned coma turned candlelight vigil in the quad. The school hung her photo in the trophy case, but kids whispered she still haunted the pool, chlorine ghosts rippling the water after hours. I moved down the hall, flashlight beam jittering like my hands. Lockers lined both sides, their vents exhaling cold air that smells of forgotten lunches and gym socks. One door creaks open as I pass. Room 204, Tim's detention spot. Inside, the desks are arranged in a perfect circle, chairs facing inward like a seance. On the chalkboard, names scrawl themselves in looping cursive: Alvarez, Park, Okoye. Mine isn't there yet, but the chalk dust swirls, expectant. Fear coils tighter, a spring winding in my gut. I tell myself it's the wind or faulty wiring from that lightning strike, but the lights flicker in rhythm now, pulsing like a heartbeat. Another announcement. Jacob Riley, cafeteria. Lunch is served cold. Jacob choked on a vending machine candy bar, alone after detention. They found him blue-lipped under the flickering soda sign. The mythic element creeps in. The rumor of the eternal roster, a cursed list etched into the school's cornerstone during construction, binding lost souls to endless after-school penance. I duck into the next classroom, 108, Sarah's room. The air's thicker here, heavy with the scent of old textbooks and rain-soaked carpet. Moonlight filters through blinds slanted like prison bars, casting stripes on the floor. A projector hums to life on its own, bulb warming with a soft whine. It clicks through slides, faded yearbook photos, faces smiling from a time before everything went wrong. Tim's grin, Sarah's shy wave, Michael's thumbs up. Then blanks, pages where names should be, but the inks bled away like tears on paper. The PA interrupts, voice dropping an octave, intimate as a whisper in my ear. Laura Thompson, library. Books are overdue. Laura overdosed in the stacks, pills hidden in a hollowed-out encyclopedia. Whispers said she saw shadows in the mirrors, reflections that didn't match. I glance at the classroom mirror, tacked above the sink for hand-washing reminders, and my breath fogs it. My face stares back, but the eyes are wrong, too wide, too knowing. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, like how silence can scream, or how echoes carry more weight than the original sound. More names pour from the speakers, a roll call of the departed. Amanda Ruiz, Jim. Dodgeball starts now. Amanda fell from the bleachers during a pep rally, neck snapping like a dry erase marker. Kevin Patel, art room. Paint your regrets. Kevin slashed his wrists with a palette knife, blood mixing with acrylics on the canvas. Each name tugs me deeper, classrooms blurring into one another. The lights dim further, bulbs buzzing like trapped bees. In room 112, Emily's space, I find a desk with fresh carvings, initials intertwined with dates that end too soon. A faint music starts, that same tinny melody from the PA static, like a music box wound backward. It's the school fight song, but slowed, notes dragging like chalk on slate. Shadows pool in the corners, thicker than they should be, shifting when my light swings away. Curiosity peaks again, overriding the fear that's turning my legs to lead. I rifle through a drawer, old hall passes, crumpled notes, a yearbook from 2018. Flipping pages, faces leap out, but some are scratched over with black marker, voids where eyes should gleam. The PA laughs, soft, staticky. Then, group detention in the auditorium. All present and accounted for, almost. I bolt from the room, sneakers squeaking protests on the linoleum. The hallway warps, doors multiplying like reflections in a funhouse mirror. Rain hammers harder outside, thunder rumbling like distant lockers slamming. Another name, Rachel Simmons, nurse's office. Temperatures dropping. Rachel froze in her car after a late club meeting, engine stalled in a snowdrift that wasn't forecasted. The fear crashes fully now, waves breaking over me. My phone dies mid-beam, screen winking out like a snuffed candle. Darkness swallows the hall, but the exit signs glow faintly, red as warning labels. I grope forward, hands brushing lockers that feel unnaturally warm, like skin under fabric. Revelation strikes as the PA lists the next. David Lee, boiler room. Heat's on. David was the janitor's kid, crushed when a pipe burst in the basement. The mythic curse sharpens. The school's PA isn't just wires and amplifiers. It's a conduit, a voice for the unfinished, calling roll until the list is complete. I stumble into another classroom, breath ragged. The board here has a new message, attendance required. Below, names tick off like a scoreboard, mine hovering at the bottom, half-formed. The speaker above crackles expectantly, waiting for me to fill in the blank. But I won't. Not yet. I slide under a desk, curl into the fetal position kids practice for tornado drills. The music swells, ghostly choir joining in. Footsteps echo down the hall. Not mine. Too measured. Too many. Shadows stretch under the door crack, fingers probing. The PA whispers, "Class is in session. Don't make us come find you." I clamp my hands over my ears, but the names seep through, echoing like memories that refuse to fade. Tim, Sarah, Michael, Emily, and now a pause, as if the voice is savoring the next one. The whisper lingers, curling around my fingers like smoke from a snuffed candle. I uncurl from under the desk, knees popping like the old PA speakers, and peer through the door's wire mesh window. The hallway is empty, but the shadows under the lockers twist, reaching like fingers toward the stairwell at the far end. That door, always propped open during the day for fire code, stands ajar now, a sliver of deeper black inviting me down. I know I should head the other way, toward the main entrance with its glass doors and the parking lot floodlights. But the announcements have woven a thread through my thoughts, pulling taut. Curiosity reignites, a spark in the dark. What's driving this? A hacked system? Some elaborate alumni prank? I slip out, the door hinge creaking a warning that echoes off the linoleum. My dead phone weighs heavy in my pocket. No light, no lifeline. But the emergency strips along the baseboards glow faintly, casting an eerie green haze like algae in a forgotten aquarium. Rain patters against the high windows, distorting the moon into smears of silver. I pad toward the stairwell, passing lockers that rattle softly, as if hands press from inside. One vent exhales a puff of dust, carrying the faint scent of chalk and mildew. The school's architecture anchors me here. The original blueprints from the 1950s included this central stairwell as a fire escape, spiraling down to the basement where the boiler hums like a sleeping giant. Local records note it was retrofitted in the 80s after a flood, with concrete reinforcements that still weep moisture during storms, turning the steps slick as oiled glass. Halfway down the hall, the PA stirs again, voice smoother now, like a substitute teacher reading from a script she's memorized. "Nathan Brooks, basement storage. Your file is waiting." Nathan, quiet kid, always sketching in the margins of his notebooks. He tumbled down these very stairs during a power outage, flashlight failing mid-step. Broke his neck on the landing. The rumor mill said his drawings came to life that night, shadows inking themselves across the walls. I reached the stairwell door, its push bar cold under my palm, textured with layers of chipped paint. Pushing through, the air shifts, cooler, heavier, laced with the iron tang of rust and the faint rot of old paper. The steps descend in a tight coil, walls scuffed from generations of backpacks brushing by. My footsteps echo, but not alone. A second set matches mine, faint, like an afterimage in a mirror. Curiosity pushes me onward, one step at a time. What if this is all tied to the basement? Kids always whispered about it. Forbidden zone, where the janitors stored broken desks and forgotten props from school plays. I hit the landing, the door to the lower level unmarked except for a faded, authorized personnel only sticker peeling at the edges. It swings open at my touch, hinges silent as a held breath. The basement unfolds in dim fluorescence, bulbs caged in wire humming overhead like distant bees. Pipes snake along the ceiling, dripping condensation that pools on the concrete floor, slick and reflective. Lockers down here? No, just metal cabinets, dented and labeled with faded Sharpie. Science supplies, AV equipment. But one stands open, spilling yearbooks like guts from a wound, leather-bound tomes from decades past, covers warped from damp. I kneel, the cold floor biting through my jeans. The top one, 1987, gold embossed with the school mascot, a falcon mid-swoop. Flipping it open, the pages crinkle, releasing a puff of dust that smells of addicts and adder. Faces beam from black and white photos, mullets and leg warmers, frozen in pep rallies and proms. But as I turn, anomalies appear, some portraits blurred, as if erased with a thumb. Names beneath smudged, ink running like tears. Fear creeps in then, slow as the shadows lengthening from the boiler room door. The mythic element surfaces, the legend of the Whispering Archive, a supernatural vault where the school's secrets are bound, yearbooks that rewrite themselves to include the lost, faces fading as souls are claimed. I remember the rumor from senior year. A substitute teacher vanished down here, searching for AV chords, only to reappear in an old yearbook photo, smiling among students from 1962. The PA echoes down the vents, muffled but insistent. Olivia Grant, furnace room. Warm up your memories. Olivia slipped into the old coal chute during a dare, body never recovered, just her scarf caught on a grate. The announcement fades into that ghostly music again, the fight song warped into a dirge, notes drifting from the shadows like smoke. I grab another yearbook, 2015, my sophomore year. Heart pounding, I scan the pages. There's Tim, grinning in the science club photo. But next to him, a blank spot where Sarah should be, her name crossed out in red. Michael's track team shot, his face a smear, like wet chalk dragged across. And then, my class photo. Everyone accounted for, except the edges fray, shadows encroaching like ink spills. A reflection catches my eye. The puddle on the floor mirrors the ceiling, but in it, the pipes twist unnaturally, forming letters, Detention Eternal. I splash it away with my foot, water cold as grave dirt spraying up. Deeper in, past the cabinets, a stairwell to a sub-basement I never knew existed, rumored in urban legends as the Forgotten Wing, built during the Cold War as a fallout shelter, but sealed after a collapse. The doors unlocked, frame warped. Inside, more yearbooks stack on makeshift shelves of cinder blocks, illuminated by a single bulb swinging on a cord, its light flickering like a projector's dying reel. I pull one down, 1974. Pages stick together, but pry apart to reveal class portraits with entire rows erased, names listed in the index, but photos void. A chill runs up my spine. The music swells, closer now, emanating from an old PA speaker mounted on the wall, grill rusted but vibrating with sound. Fear fully grips me, turning my breath shallow. Footsteps patter above, soft, like children's shoes squeaking on tile. But I'm alone down here. Or am I? Shadows detach from the corners, pooling like spilled ink, forming vague shapes. Lockers manifesting where none should be. Doors creaking open to reveal empty classrooms that shouldn't fit in this space. The PA interrupts the music. Group assembly in the archive. Roll call commencing. Names murmur, overlapping. Tim, Sarah, Michael, Emily, Nathan, Olivia. Each one accompanied by a page flip in the yearbook I'm holding. Faces reappearing, eyes following my finger as I trace the captions. Revelation hits like a locker slam. These aren't just echoes. The basement is the heart, the PA its voice, binding the departed in an endless loop. The yearbooks aren't records. They're traps, pages that capture reflections, erasing the living to fill the roster. My own face stares back from a blank page, slowly inking in, details sharpening. My eyes, my smile, but hollow, like a substitute for the real thing. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, like how history repeats, not in cycles, but in whispers that drag you under. I drop the book, pages fluttering like trapped birds. The music crescendos, ghostly choir harmonizing names into a chant. Shadows solidify, reaching with tendril fingers. I back toward the door, but it slams shut, lock clicking like teeth. The bulb overhead dims, plunging the room into textured gloom. Cold concrete underfoot, dust coating my tongue. Another announcement, voice right behind me. Your page is turning. Don't resist the edit. I pound on the door, echoes mocking me. The yearbooks rustle, pages turning on their own, a wind rising from nowhere carrying the scent of rain and regret. Curiosity's spark is drowned now. Fear a flood, but revelation lingers. To escape, I must confront the source, trace the whispers to their root. The door gives suddenly, swinging wide. I stumble out, up the stairs, but the basements hold tugs, ghostly music fading but not gone. Yearbooks erased, faces burned into my mind like afterimages from a flash. The stairs spit me back into the hallway like a bad memory, the door banging shut behind me with a finality that rattles the lockers. My breaths come in gasps, echoing off the walls as if the building itself is panting alongside me. The ghostly music from the basement fades to a hum, buried now in the PA speakers overhead, but its melody lingers in my ears like the aftertaste of chalk dust. Rain still drums on the windows, a steady rhythm that mocks my racing pulse, and the air up here feels thinner, charged, like the moment before a projector clicks on in a dark auditorium. I lean against a locker, its metal cool and textured under my palms, dented from years of shoulders slamming into it during passing periods. Curiosity flickers back to life, dim but insistent. If the basement holds the records, maybe the mirrors hold the faces. I've heard the rumors, passed in whispers during study hall, how the bathroom mirrors in the West Wing reflect more than they should, showing glimpses of students who never made it to graduation. I push off, sneakers squeaking faintly on the floor, drawn toward the end of the hall where the restrooms huddle like forgotten corners. The school's layout grounds me again, a factual tether in the chaos. The West Wing was added in 1965 as part of an expansion funded by a bond measure, documented in the county archives with blueprints showing asymmetrical hallways to accommodate the old foundation. It created odd angles, dead ends where light doesn't reach, and those bathrooms, tiled in faded mint green, sinks dripping eternally from worn faucets. I pass a classroom door, ajar, and glimpse desks overturned, papers scattered like fallen leaves, but I don't stop. The PA crackles softly, a prelude. Substitute required in room 217. Lesson plan, repetition. Room 217. That was Ms. Hargrove's domain, the English teacher who vanished mid-semester. Purse left on her desk, chalk still clutched in the tray. They said she stepped out for copies and never returned. The sub who replaced her lasted a week before quitting, muttering about reflections that followed her home. I reached the bathroom door, its frosted glass pane etched with graffiti from decades ago, initials faded but stubborn. Pushing in, the fluorescent lights buzzed to life automatically, harsh and unforgiving, casting my shadow long across the tiles. The mirrors line one wall, a row of 5 over the sinks, each framed in chipped chrome. Water drips from a faucet, plink plink, like a metronome counting down. I approach the middle one, breath fogging the glass, and stare at my reflection. Disheveled hair, wide eyes, the collar of my jacket askew. Normal at first, but as I watch, the image shifts subtly like a film splice. My eyes in the mirror blink out of sync, a fraction too slow. Curiosity swells, pulling me closer. I raise a hand. The reflection mirrors it, but the background warps. The tile behind me in the glass shows a different pattern, older, with cracks that aren't there in reality. Then, figures appear, hazy at the edges, like overexposed photos. A woman in a cardigan, hair pinned up, Ms. Hargrove, clipboard in hand, mouthing words I can't hear. Beside her, another sub, Mr. Ellis, who disappeared after a field trip, tie loosened, gesturing at an invisible class. The mythic element emerges fully now, the mirror loop, a supernatural snare whispered in school legends, where vanished staff relive their last lessons eternally, reflections trapping the curious in a time-warped detention. Kids said if you stared too long, you join them, your image peeled from your body like a sticker from a locker. Fear stirs, a chill slithering up my spine as the reflections solidify. Miss Hargrove turns toward me in the glass, her eyes locking on mine, lips forming my name soundlessly. The PA echoes from the hallway speaker, voice overlapping with the mirror's silent plea. Class, turn to page eternity. Repeat after me. The music returns, faint through the vents, that dragged-out fight song now accompanied by chalk scraping on slate, distant but insistent. I try to look away, but my reflection doesn't. It stays fixed, smiling faintly as the background shifts to a classroom I recognize. Room 217, desks filled with ghostly students, their faces from the yearbooks downstairs. Tim slouched in the back, Sarah doodling on her notebook, Michael tapping a pencil. The substitutes pace, lecturing in loops. The past is present. The present is past. My hand in the mirror reaches out, pressing against the glass from the inside, fingers splaying. Texture assaults me. The mirror surface warms under my real palm, softening like wax, and a pull tugs at my skin, as if threads connect me to the image. Fear crashes in fully, turning my stomach to ice. I yank back, but my reflection lingers a beat longer, hands still extended, inviting. Shadows in the bathroom deepen, pooling around my feet like spilled ink from a leaky pen, and the lights flicker in sync with the PA's static. Another announcement. New enrollment. Front row, center. Lesson begins. The mirrors multiply the effect. Infinite regressions showing endless hallways, each with more figures, substitutes from years past, their clothes outdated, faces pleading. One, a man in a tweed jacket, vanishes mid-stride, his image dissolving into pixels like a faulty projector. The mythic curse tightens. This isn't just a reflection. It's a portal, looping time like a reel of film spliced end to end, trapping souls in perpetual class. I stumble back, knocking into a sink. Water sprays cold on my arm, shocking me alert. In the mirror, my image steps forward independently, crossing into the ghostly classroom, taking a seat among the dead. Tim turns, waves casually. Sarah offers a spectral pen. The pull intensifies, a vacuum sucking at my edges, memories flashing. Detention slips, bell rings, locker slamming. I grip the sink edge, porcelain biting into my fingers, anchoring me. Revelation dawns amid the dread. The mirrors aren't windows, they're doors, and the PA is the key, announcing entries into the loop. To break free, I can't look away. I have to shatter the cycle, confront the reflection head-on. But as I stare, my image stands, walks toward the glass from inside, hand outstretched again. The music swells, choir of lost voices harmonizing. Stay after class. Forever. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught. Like how staring into the abyss reflects it back, distorted and hungry. The bathroom door creaks open behind me. No one there, but a draft carries the scent of old yearbooks and rain. Shadows slither across the floor, forming outlines of desks and chairs. The PA whispers, "Homework. Relive your regrets." My reflection nods in agreement, then beckons sharper. Panic peaks. I whirl, bolt for the door, but the mirrors follow in my periphery, reflections leaping from pane to pane like a chase scene in a hall of funhouse glass. Out in the hallway, the walls seem closer, lights dimming to moonlight slivers. A stairwell looms ahead, not the one I came from, but another, twisting upward where it shouldn't. I take the steps two at a time, echoes multiplying, my footsteps, then others, squeaking shoes from invisible feet. The PA tracks me, ascending to advanced placement. Don't skip steps. At the landing, a mirror waits, full length, propped against the wall like a forgotten prop from drama club. In it, the substitutes gather, circling my image, chalk in hand, writing equations that solve to infinity. Fear turns liquid, pooling in my veins, but curiosity's ghost urges one last look. My reflection smiles, teeth too white, and extends a hall pass, blank, endless. The pull returns, stronger, time looping. Rain taps, lights hum, announcements call. I avert my eyes, press on, but the mirror's glow follows, casting my shadow ahead, elongated and wrong. The mythic trap closes. Once seen, the loop claims you, reflections rewriting your story into the roster. Up another flight, the hallway reappears, but altered, lockers rusted, floors dust thick. The PA laughs softly. Recess over. Back to class. I duck into a side room, slamming the door, heart a drum in my chest. But inside, another mirror hangs, waiting, my image already seated, pencil poised. The revelation solidifies. Escape means breaking the glass, shattering the loop, but at what cost? Shadows creep under the door, music rising. I raise a fist, hesitate. The announcement seals it. Final warning. Join or be erased. The words slice through the air like a ruler's edge on a desk, sharp and unyielding. I stand frozen in the dim classroom, fist hovering inches from the mirror's surface, where my reflection waits with that unnerving patience. The glass feels alive under my gaze, rippling faintly like the retention pond where Michael met his end. Still on top, treacherous below. I lower my hand, breath fogging the pain again, and back away slowly, eyes averted. Shattering it might release whatever's trapped, or worse, pull me in wholesale. The door behind me beckons, a sliver of hallway light cutting across the floor like a hall pass to freedom. Curiosity nags, that persistent whisper urging me to test the boundaries, to see if the loop extends beyond this room. I slip out, the hinge sighing softly, and the corridor greets me with its familiar stretch, lockers sentinel on either side, their shadows elongated by the flickering bulbs overhead. The rain has eased to a murmur, tapping codes on the windows that I can't decipher, and the air carries the faint, acrid scent of burnt projector film from somewhere down the hall. I move toward the stairwell, the one that shouldn't twist upward but does, each step a squeak that echoes back distorted, like laughter muffled through hands. The school's stairwells anchor the chaos, a realistic blueprint etched in memory. designed with switchbacks for crowd control, as per the 1970s fire safety codes still posted in yellowed plaques on every landing. City inspections noted the handrail's grip tape wearing thin, the steps nosing chipped from countless scuffs. Mundane, where that now feels like warnings carved in concrete. I grip the rail, cold metal biting into my palm, and ascend, hoping the upper floor holds an exit overlooked in the panic. But as I climb, the shadows stir. Not the passive pools under benches or in corners. These detach, slithering up the walls like ink spilled upward, defying gravity. They pull at my heels, then surge forward, tendrils reaching like fingers brushing my ankles. I quicken my pace, heart sinking with the drip from a ceiling leak above. The PA crackles to life, voice anticipatory. Ascending stairwell B. Watch your step, shadows ahead. It knows. The announcement predicts my path, narrating like a substitute reading from a lesson plan I've never seen. Turn left at landing 2. I do, instinctively, cursing under my breath, and the shadows thicken, forming vague outlines. Elongated figures with locker-slim bodies, arms outstretched. One brushes my jacket, cold as a desk in winter, textured like rough paper. Curiosity peaks despite the chill. Are these the echoes of the named, the roster's residents manifesting to enforce attendance? I hit the next landing, breath ragged, and duck through a door into what should be the second-floor hallway. But it's altered, lights dimmer, bulbs humming a discordant tune, and the floor slick with what smells like rain-soaked linoleum, though no windows leak here. Lockers gape open, spilling shadows that coalesce into shapes. A backpack here, a sneaker there, remnants of lives cut short. The mythic element sharpens, the shadow sentinels, a supernatural rumor from cafeteria tales, guardians born from the school's unacknowledged grief, chasing intruders through time-looped halls until they join the eternal class. The PA chimes again, voice laced with amusement. Pursuit in progress. Evasive maneuvers noted, ineffective. Shadows lunge from the vents, swirling around my legs like eddies in a stairwell flood. I bolt, sneakers squeaking protests, dodging into a side classroom. Desks huddle in disarray, chalk dust coating the board where equations solve to zero, endless loops. A mirror hangs crooked on the wall. Damn these reflections. And in it, the shadows multiply, a horde pursuing my image through infinite regressions. Fear takes hold fully, a vice on my chest, turning each breath shallow. My mind races. Tim's truck skid, Sarah's vanishing act, Michael's watery grave, all chasing me now, embodied in these inky pursuers. I slam a desk against the door, barricade trembling as shadows seep under the crack, pooling like spilled correction fluid. The music returns through the speakers, that warped fight song now a march, drums thumping like footsteps closing in. I scan the room. Old yearbooks on a shelf, their spines cracked like the stairwell tiles. Flipping one open frantically, pages stick to my fingers, revealing photos where figures cast no shadows, or worse, shadows that move independently, creeping toward the edges. The PA narrates, seeking refuge in room 312. Barricade failing. Shadows incoming. A tendril snakes over the desk, wrapping my ankle, cold, insistent, pulling with the strength of regret. I kick free, scramble to the window. Outside, moonlight filters through rain-streaked glass, illuminating the drop to the quad below. Too far, but maybe the fire escape. The latch sticks, rusted from disuse, and as I wrestle it, shadows swarm the floor, rising like mist from a basement grate. They form hands, grasping at my clothes, textures rough as burlap gym mats. Fear crests, vision tunneling. I imagine joining the roster, my name announced eternally, chasing the next intruder. But revelation pierces the panic. The shadows aren't hunters. They're projections, cast by the PA's light, predicting because they're scripted, part of the curse's code. The announcements aren't omniscient. They're looping, repeating patterns from past incidents, echoing every escape attempt ever made. To outrun them, I must break the pattern, go where no one's fled before. I abandon the window, charge the door instead. Shoving the desk aside, I burst into the hall, shadows recoiling momentarily from the sudden light shift. The PA stutters, unexpected deviation, recalibrating pursuit. I veer right, against the prediction, toward a stairwell I've avoided. The emergency one, tucked behind the auditorium, its door marked with faded caution tape from a long-ago renovation. Descending now, steps spiraling tighter, the shadows regroup, cascading down the walls like waterfalls of ink. They whisper names: Tim, Sarah, Michael, voices blending with the music, a chorus of the called. One shadow solidifies ahead, blocking the path, a silhouette of a substitute, chalk outline for arms, predicting my dodge. I feint left, dive right, tumbling past, skinning my knee on the concrete. Warm blood seeping, grounding me in the real. The PA adapts. Injury noted. Nurse's office detour suggested. But I ignore it, plunging deeper, the air growing musty, textured with basement dust. Shadows nip at my heels, cold breaths on my neck, but slower now, as if the deviation confuses their script. Revelation deepens. The curse thrives on predictability, on following the roster's routine. Improvise, and the shadows falter, announcements lagging. I hit the bottom landing, door to the outside. Wait, no. Another hallway looping back? No, this one's new or forgotten. Narrow, lined with old lockers from the original build, paint peeling like skin after a sunburn. The shadows hesitate at the threshold, thinning. The PA crackles urgently. Return to assigned path. Detention mandatory. I press on, curiosity reborn amid the fading fear. What's at the end? An old rumor surfaces, the lost stairwell, leading to a sublevel archive, but perhaps an exit. Shadows trail but weaken, dissolving into wisps as the lights stabilize, humming steadily. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, like how running from shadows only lengthens them, but facing the light shortens the chase. The hallway ends at a door, unmarked, handle warm as if recently touched. The PA whispers one last prediction. Final turn. Confrontation awaits. Shadows gather behind, a wall of dark, but I twist the knob, stepping through. The music cuts, announcements silenced midword. Into what? Another layer, or freedom? Revelation lingers. The pursuit isn't endless if you rewrite the route. But the shadows press close, one last grasp. The door gives way with a groan that echoes like the final bell on the last day of school, spilling me into a room I never knew existed, tucked behind the auditorium stage, where the AV club stored tangled cords and dusty reels. The air is thick here, laced with the ozone scent of old electronics and the faint, metallic tang of overheated bulbs. My momentum carries me forward, stumbling over a threshold worn smooth by forgotten footsteps, and the shadows behind me hesitate, dissolving into wisps as if repelled by some invisible barrier. The PA static hisses once, then falls silent. The predictions cut off mid-breath. I straighten, scanning the space. A control room, part of the school's nervous system. Consoles line the walls, knobs and switches labeled in faded Sharpie. Volume, intercom, emergency. Wires snake across the floor like veins, converging on a central panel where a microphone stands sentinel, its grill dusted but gleaming under a single desk lamp that hums softly, casting a pool of yellow light. Papers clutter the desk, yellowed memos from administrations past, detention slips blank but expectant. The realistic anchor grounds me. The PA system was upgraded in 1992 per district logs, from analog tape to digital, but the core wiring dates back to the building's birth, a labyrinth of copper that carries more than sound. Curiosity surges, overriding the exhaustion in my limbs. This must be it. The source, the voice that's been calling the roster all night. I approach the panel, fingers tracing the cool metal, and spot a reel-to-reel player tucked in the corner, tape spooling slowly on its own, as if wound by phantom hands. The label reads, Archive, announcements 1952 present, but the tape looks fresh, unmarked. I lean in. Faint music leaks from the headphones dangling nearby. That same ghostly fight song, notes dragging like chalk on a rain-slicked board. The shadows regroup outside the door, pressing against the frosted glass pane, but they don't enter. Instead, the PA awakens one last time, voice emanating not from the speakers, but from the microphone itself, intimate and unamplified. Final broadcast commencing. All seats filled except one. My name hovers in the air, unspoken but implied, a blank on the roster waiting to be inked. I grab the microphone, the stand cold as a locker handle in January. Who's there? My voice booms through the building, echoing down hallways, rattling lockers, flickering lights in distant classrooms. No answer, but the tape accelerates, whirring as images flood my mind. Not memories, but visions. The school's cursed secret unfolding like a yearbook page turned too fast. It started with the cornerstone, late in 1952 amid post-war optimism. A worker slipped, crushed under the block, name forgotten, but his whisper embedded in the mortar. The first announcement glitch, a detention call for a boy long graduated. Then more, accidents woven into the wiring, souls snagged like threads on a nail. The mythic core reveals itself. The PA isn't machinery. It's a conduit, an eternal echo chamber where the departed broadcast their unfinished business, pulling the living into the loop to balance the roster. Substitutes vanish first, reflections trapped in mirrors, students follow, shadows chasing regrets down stairwells. The basement yearbooks catalog them, erasing faces to make room for new ones. Fear reignites, a flame in my chest as the visions intensify. Tim's laughter cut short, Sarah's backpack abandoned, Michael's splash in the pond, all amplified through the system, announcements luring others to share the silence. The tape shows me next, my image fading in a mirror, shadow detaching, name announced eternally. The door rattles now, shadows probing the knob, textured tendrils seeping under the frame like spilled ink from a fountain pen. I yank the tape from the reel, spools clattering to the floor. Static erupts, the PA screaming names in overlap. Alvarez, Parco, Kitchen, Riley. A cacophony that shakes the console. Lights overhead buzz wildly, flickering like a projector's end reel. The microphone heats in my hand, voice pleading. Complete the circuit. Join the broadcast. But I twist the volume knob to 0, wires sparking under my fingers, the scent of singed plastic sharp. Revelation crashes through the dread. The curse isn't unbreakable. It's powered by repetition, the endless loop of calls and chases. Sever the source, and the echoes fade. I rip wires from the panel, sparks dancing like fireflies in the dim, each pull dimming the hum. The shadows outside recoil, dissolving into harmless pools. The music warps, slowing to a stop, notes hanging unfinished. The final announcement gasps, dismissal granted. Then silence, true, heavy, the kind that follows a storm. The door unlocks with a click, swinging open to an empty hallway. Lights steady now, rain easing to a drizzle outside the windows. I step out, wires trailing from my fist like trophies, and the building feels ordinary. Lockers stand mute, classrooms dark but unthreatening, stairwells straight and shadowless. I make for the side entrance, sneakers no longer echoing twice. The night air greets me, cool and clean, carrying the scent of wet asphalt and distant traffic. My car waits in the lot, headlights slicing the dark when I click the fob. As I drive away, the school shrinks in the rear view, bricks and windows, nothing more. But a faint crackle in my radio makes me switch it off, heart skipping once. Escape feels fragile, a hall pass stamped but revocable. The roster's blank filled? Or just paused? I glance back one last time. A single light flickers in the auditorium window, like a projector warming up. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught. Like how silence isn't empty, it's waiting. The drive home blurs, rain-smeared streets reflecting street lamps like distorted mirrors. My apartment door clicks shut behind me, locks turning thrice. I sink into the couch, phone charging, missed calls from friends, oblivious texts. The clock ticks past 3, dawn a promise on the horizon. But sleep evades, mind replaying the night's syllabus. Was it real? The wires in my pocket say yes, twisted copper warm as if still humming. The hum of the empty lights fades slowly, like the last echo in a vacated hallway. I sit here in the quiet of my room, rain now a gentle patter against the pane, wind sighing through the cracked window like a final breath from those midnight corridors. The dread lingers, soft now, not a scream, but a whisper that brushes the nape of my neck, reminding me of names unspoken and reflections that might still stare back from darkened glass. Papers on my desk